Hey guys, it's Owen here with another unboxing video. Now it's the MSI Z390 Tomahawk motherboard. I really hate MSI's naming scheme with the MSI Arsenal Gaming, so MAG. What is that supposed to mean? How am I supposed to understand how good or bad or what in the stack is this thing? So naming aside, this should be a pretty decent motherboard because it's a Z390, so it's made for the Intel Core i9-9900K and all the good stuffs that just came out from Intel. And obviously it's also got an Optane logo because why not? It's supported, I guess, but no one's really going to use it in a high-end system, I think. Anyways, let's take a look at the features on the back. So it says it's got an extended heatsink design, which just means a larger heatsink, I guess. And it's also got the Intel USB 3.1 Gen 2 Intel Turbo USB port thing, whatever. The naming scheme of USB devices are getting more ridiculous. If you haven't heard already of the new naming scheme, this is not even the correct one anymore. Now it's even more ridiculous. It's also got the audio boost from MSI, which just means high quality audio stuff crammed into the motherboard. It's also got the RGB Mystic Light controller on it, which is basically just a RGB 5050 controller, which is pretty much available on any half decent current gen motherboards these days. It's also got an interesting feature, which is Intel Dual LAN. So it's got dual NICs and dual Ethernet ports on the back. So this used to be a really high-end features on like workstation boards, but I guess it's getting more mainstream right now. So it does have dual LAN, so that's kind of cool. It's also got the M.2 slot. It says Twin Turbo M.2, just means it's the highest possible speed M.2 slot. It's an NVMe compatible one, obviously. It's also got an M.2 shield, which is an M.2 heat spreader. So it does come with all the typical features of all the newer motherboards, basically. And this is also supporting of the Intel CNVI Wi-Fi module, which just is a module thing that you can connect here, which utilizes the chipset's built-in Wi-Fi controller, which is actually built into the Z390 and I believe H310 motherboards or something like that. Anyways, let's take a look inside and let's see what it's all about. And this is the inside. You just read it by the motherboard itself. And I won't bother showing you all the accessories because it's just the typical stuff. The SATA cables, all the USB disk and, sorry, not USB, I mean CD disk. It's been so long since I said that word. And you also got the warranty manuals and every other cards and booklets. Anyways, let's take a look at the motherboard itself. It's wrapped in this anti-static pack, obviously, because to protect from anti-static stuff, so that it doesn't die before you use it. Anyways, let's just take a look and dig into it. So let's just start out the CPU portion and what matters most. It's an LGA 1151 socket, so it's going to be compatible for Intel Core i9-9900Ks and also all the newer Gen 9th Gen stuff. And it also has two power connectors, so one 8-pin and one 4-pin, so it should provide plenty of power for this thing, even though you realistically only need one of the 8 pins and it still be enough. It also got a pretty massive heatsink, although don't be fooled, this isn't metal, it isn't connected to the heatsink, it's just a plastic I/O cover. The heatsink part is just this part and this part and this part. So the heatsink is actually pretty big. It doesn't have as much surface area as a fin heatsink, but it should be pretty good, and especially because it's large, it should have a lot of thermal mass, so it shouldn't overheat or heat up any quickly. The VRM setup is like so. I believe this is the iGPU portion and this is the CPU portion, if they divide it up properly, or maybe this part is CPU and 2 for the GPU. But anyways, it seems to be pretty well balanced and it does have quite a lot of phases, at least if you consider chokes are per phase, but it should be quite enough for any type of overclocking because any half decent motherboards these days should be able to take a Core i9 up to almost or up to 5 GHz or so, as long as you have adequate cooling for the CPU, of course. And for this side, you got the RAM slots. Obviously, this is going to be compatible with DDR4 RAM sticks, such as these things, which I'm going to use for this build as well. Some Corsair RGB Vengeance Pro memory. So this should be pretty fast. And this also has two PCIe slots, which you can use for SLI or Crossfire if you so desire. But there's basically no reason to use two graphics cards these days because the scaling isn't perfect and you're just wasting a lot of money in most cases. It's also got the M.2 connector over here, as you can see. It's also got another M.2 connector under this heatsink, heat shield or heat spreader thing for your M.2 SSD. It's also NVMe compatible, so it's gonna be pretty fast. It's also got some SATA connectors still if you want to connect some hard drives. So there's 6 over here, and also beside it there's a USB 3 connector that's right angled as well, and also a USB connector over here. Personally, right angled USB connectors are never useful to me because it's kind of hard to connect. There's also the 24 pin over here, obviously. And I guess another important thing is showing you guys where all the fan connectors are. So you got a sys fan connector over here for usually your back fan. You also got this CPU fan connector over here, and you also got 2 more system fan connectors over here, and also I guess there should be on the bottom, there we go, 1 more fan connector over here and 2 more over here. So there's plenty of fan connectors on this board, so you should be able to control all your fans and keep everything nice and cool. Another neat thing about this motherboard is that it does have an integrated I/O shield. So long gone are the days where you might forget installing the I/O shield after you finish your building your PC. So that's nice to see. I wish everyone starts doing this and do away with the separate I/O shield altogether, because it does look pretty nice and it makes it much easier and less of a hassle, because you won't be able to forget to install it just like in the old days, for example. For the I/O outputs, let's just take a look at that again. There's the USB ports. I think these are USB 2 usually, and there's the PS2 port, so that's kind of nice in case you have some problems, so you're diagnosing some things. And then you also have a display port, an HDMI port for the integrated graphics, 2 USB 3.0 I assume, 3, and USB Type-C. I think it's USB 3.1. There's also the 2 LAN connectors, Ethernet to the Intel NICs, and all the audio outputs and inputs, which is more advanced than usual. It still also has an SPDIF output. Anyways, that's it for this unboxing. Hope you enjoyed this video, and if you do, please leave a like. There isn't much to talk about with this generation of motherboards, just the same as the new graphics card as well. There isn't really any unique features with motherboards anyways these days. They all pretty much perform the same, and any half decent one is going to get you to any overclock you want, as long as their silicon and cooling is capable of it. Anyways, that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed, and if you do, please leave a like and please click subscribe to see more of my future videos. Thanks for watching.